Hello everyone, Catherine here from Inky Finger Cat, and I'm back with a Festive Friday, which is also my Christmas in July stroke February response to the prompt of creature comforts. I decided, like last month, that I would use the colour cube. This time I've pulled out volume 2, the second box, and I pulled out a card from, I think it's called Fun and Festivities or something along those lines. Yeah, it's just one of the ones from that section that I thought, right, well, that might have some Christmassy colours in it. Actually, not very Christmassy, sort of more party than Christmassy. I decided, because the theme is creature comforts, which is basically just any kind of creature that might be a bit festive. I decided to pull out those really cute woodland ones that are all wearing their jumpers, etc., and to do some paper piecing. Don't often do paper piecing, so I thought I'd do that. I've just gone through my scraps and tried to find colours that might be similar to the one on the card. Does my card end up being really reminiscent of the colour selection? Not really. Sort of miss out the yellow. Oh, I mean, there is a bit of yellow in one of the jumpers, but yeah, I don't really stick to it. But it was the starting point, and that's all I wanted it for, was a starting point. Would I have done these colours anyway? No. Would I have done paper piecing with those papers? No. So it still fulfilled its job of pushing me out of my comfort zone. Now, these particular stamps are ones from a magazine from years ago, and what I tend to do is stamp them like this. I'll just stamp them all in one go, and the fact that I've only got some scraps of paper and cardstock really doesn't matter, because I'm only going to select a few of the images anyway, and this gives me right, these are the ones I'm doing because these are the ones that I've stamped. So you'll see here what I'm going to do first of all is fussy cut all of the jumpers and woolly scarves and hats, etc., from the 3 different pattern papers that I ended up using for the paper piecing. So there's this purpley watercolory kind of one here, then there's this pinky peachy purple. Does that make sense? It's more of a darker cerise colour, but it's not as dark as cerise. That's also got a little bit of kind of the yellow in from the butterfly, but not so much on the back. I don't think any of the butterfly makes it into this one, actually. These are old indigo blue papers from a magazine. You'll have seen them if you've seen my January junk journal. I used quite a few of the papers from this kit in that, and these are just some of the larger pieces that I'd got left that was sitting in my scraps of pattern paper that are sort of sorted by colour scheme. That's how I do that, just in case you were wondering what that was at the beginning. I have like a pouch for generically pink things, generically purple things, but obviously with some pattern papers, especially if they're double-sided, they've got different colours in them anyway. But yeah, it's just my way of them being able to grab out a particular pouch of blues, for example. So the sort of tealy colour has got a bit more yellow in it, but you know what? You can hardly see the yellow that's from the original colour thing. Now, when I was looking though, I did spot that striped paper, and I thought that is perfect, and that's exactly what I wanted to use. I'm pretty sure that and the watercolory purple probably came in the same Lollipop Box Club kit many years ago. I sort of did Lollipop Box Club kits probably for about 12 months, thereabouts. I've still got loads of the stash left because I sort of then fell out of love of doing junk journaling, or making my own journals, which was the thing. Lisa from It's Only Paper is her YouTube channel. I love her stuff. I love her art. I love the way she creates. Quite enjoy watching her videos with her husband when they're travelling as well. But you know, when you just kind of like, yeah, it's just not my thing. Just couldn't get it to be my thing. So I had to stop those subscriptions, unfortunately, which is always a shame when it's someone's like business. It's their, you know, they are a sole trader and independent and stuff, but I couldn't justify buying the boxes if I wasn't going to use the stash. So I'm colouring all of my little critters, the little snowy creatures. So there's a deer, a bear, an owl, a raccoon. I wouldn't have said that was snowy, but apparently. A couple of rabbits and a wolf, I think. Yeah. I'm colouring them all with the greys. The greys are from Pro Markers, and I've just done 3 different shades of the cool grey. And then I'm using this little glue pen, which is actually a Kingston Crafts one. I don't know if they're available yet in the UK, but you'll have seen these sorts of things before from other companies. Well, Kingston's have got one coming out as well. And it works great for paper piecing because it just adds that bit of glue. It's permanent glue if you apply whilst wet. If you leave it, it becomes like more of a temporary glue. But yeah, perfect for paper piecing. So I'm adding all my little jumpers, all my little bits. I'm going to add another little bit of jumper to my little bear. I decide he just needs to have a multicoloured jumper for some reason. So I add another little bit striped across his tummy with that. And then I am going to go back in again with my Pro Markers just to make sure I've got any shadows have been defined with a little bit of grey, especially over the bits of the pattern paper. It just helps to blend them in so that they become more part of the creatures. Now, on something this tiny, does it need to be paper piece? Nah, not really. But I just thought it was a nice way of using the colours and trying to match. I didn't match them brilliantly, but they'll do. They'll be fine. Right, I'm going to work on the background. I start off with this. Again, this is a Kingston Crafts stamp. I'm pretty sure that these are available on hobbymaker.tv. If they're not, I'm really sorry, they might have sold out. These were ones that were done for Christmas, but they never got a TV show. So I don't know whether they're still available or not. I know that they released them on the website. I don't think I've ever got around to sharing them on my blog, the samples I made. Must get round to doing that. I tend to wait until they've been on the telly, you see, before I share them, but I've obviously... yeah, I forgot about that when I was doing this. And just used the stamp that I wanted to use, which is this fab big background stamp. So these background stamps are absolutely fabulous because they are absolutely massive. So brilliant for creating a full piece of background. For a large card, for part of a scrapbook page, etc. They are just fab. I stamped and embossed with the white, and then I am going to pop it all away. I'm going to probably heat set it again because I've realised that there's a little bit of it not quite done. And then I'm cutting this into 2 panels. I obviously didn't get around to heat setting at that point. It must be later. I realised that there's a bit not quite glossy. Now, there are no dies for these stamps. I've had them for years and years and years. I'm pretty sure they came with a Making Cards magazine and a little pouch of papers, and I absolutely adore these stamps. I sort of wish there's a die, but at the same time, they're not difficult to cut out, and actually it might be fiddlier to try and line up dies. Yeah, probably would be. So I'm not so bothered that they don't have a die. I think I previously have sort of wished for one, but actually with hindsight, nah, just fussy cutting them's fine. And they're really, as I say, not the most difficult of images. I always cut with keeping my scissors fairly still and just moving the piece of paper that I'm cutting. That's the thing that moves around. So you'll see my left hand is the one that's doing the turning of the paper, and my scissors stay fairly static. So I'm going to cut all of the little images out. Obviously there are more images on the stamp set, but I've only stamped a small number on the scrap of cardstock that I used that was at a wiggly angle. That was from another card that I made. Also using the colour cube actually. How coincidental is that? So yeah, I just pulled it out of my little pouch of scraps to use because I knew I really didn't need many images. I've ended up with 7 of the little critters, just a little bit too many to go across one card front. So I do end up going with, that's where I realised that I needed to heat it up a little bit more. But yeah, I do end up making just 1 card, but at first I thought I was going to make 2, and then I sort of toyed with the idea of a fun fold, and I've sort of gone for an in the middle. I've created a flap in the middle of my card basically. I think I'll probably cut some of the faffing around because I don't do a great job of these sorts of things. I'm not an interactive card person. Normally it's just not something that I do very well. But But here I am just deciding what to do in terms of matting and layering. I decided to go with the same piece of paper that I had used for doing some of the paper piecing. And then this is where I'm sort of like thinking again about those colours that were on the card, and I've brought in that scrap of cerise to just layer all my little images onto. And that'll create my little card almost like a topper. I keep it quite flat, to be honest. I don't end up raising it up. I was originally going to, but I decided against that. Now, after I have glued them in place, I take a white gel pen and I'm just going to do some little squiggly lines, because I think that's, you know, it makes it look a little bit hand-drawn, and I just wanted the like whimsical look of this. So I'm adding in my little squiggly lines around the outsides of that panel. I do add tiny little highlights to the little images. To be honest, probably barely noticeable on the final cards because the images themselves are so tiny. Right, the other one, I again going to stick all three down, but I am going to make the panel a little bit smaller because of the fact that obviously there's only the three images. And also I know that the panel that they're going to go on of the stripe paper is also smaller. So again, adding my squiggly lines, they're just going to give a little bit of definition and framing to that panel, but also just give it that bit of whimsy. And again, just going to stick that onto my card panel, but I did trim it down, as you saw there. So it's become smaller. I'm going to edge like I did last time. Did I mention this? I edged it with my Pro Marker, just with the cool grey. I think it was number 3, so the slightly darker one, just to give it a little bit of definition at the edge, but nothing too stark. And then again, I'm using that pattern paper I've used for doing the paper piecing, even though it's not relevant in terms of topic, it's not Christmas paper, it's just to give it a little bit of a definition and a little bit of a frame. So there you go, there's my two little panels made, and now I need to make my card. So as I say, at this point I'm thinking I'm going to make 2 cards, and I'm going to make them both in my standard size of like a C6 card, which is 1/4 of A4. But then I'm umming and ahhing about doing thumb fold. Then I decide, no, I'm going to put it as a topper on the inside. And then I think, well, I can't do that if I'm going to see that part of it, so I need to turn that bit into something else. So I mount that onto some more pink. Totally forgotten by this point about the colours that are on that card from the colour cube, but I decided that'll do. And now I'm faffing around with the hinge. So, because it did faff around for ages, here we go. This is me, I'm still faffing. I did cut some of it out though, because I just turned the camera off and thought, until I was certain as to what I was doing, but actually I still wasn't certain as to what I was doing. But anyway, I decided to just go with it on the front and just stick the front down. And the second bit, I just basically created a little hinge so that it sort of, it's not a pop out or anything along those lines, but it sort of like raises it and turns it into an extra flap on the inside of the card. Do I regret that? No, I don't regret it. But, you know, when you're just like, well, it was a bit pointless, wasn't it? So inside the card now, I'm just finishing it off with a little bit of lilac and some white for the final panel to be finished. Right, I am going to just add a sentiment to the front, and I am literally just using this foiled Merry that I have footy cut out previously. It's got some of the blue in it. It just seemed to coordinate, and I thought it worked fine. I decided against any other embellishment because it's got the embossing in the background. It's got that foiled element and then the sort of like little creatures. I decided it was done. Didn't need anything else. So a bit of a different one for me. Not the favourite card I've ever made, but do you know what? Sometimes we don't win them. It's sometimes just the way it goes. But, you know, it was fun. It was different. I obviously love those stamped images. I think they're just the cutest. They really are just so sweet. I hope you've enjoyed this anyway. Please subscribe to see future videos. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye-bye.